What's up guys, welcome to Rob's house. Today we're gonna be doing another video using the Corvette. So the touchscreen in my car is actually cracked. Fortunately, I was able to get in touch with the dealership and they said that they'll replace it for me. So they're gonna send me a new part. So this is gonna be a single video, but over the course of 2 separate days. So tonight, my first task is just to remove the existing touchscreen because there are a couple of different possible touchscreens that this car could have, and I need the exact part number to send to the dealership so that they can order it from GM and send me a new one. So what that's going to involve today is we're actually going to have to remove both the center console as well as the dash. So I'm going to walk you through both those things. We're going to remove the console, we're going to remove the dash, and then we're gonna remove the actual screen so I can grab the number off of it. Then we'll cut to day 2 where we'll have a new screen and we'll basically just reverse that process and reassemble with the new screen. So let's get started. All right, so step 1, before we do anything, actually what we're going to open the car up and we're gonna leave all these doors open because we're going to disconnect the battery. So we wanna make sure that we can still get in the car. First things first, we're going to disconnect the battery. The battery is located in the trunk of the C7 Corvette. And we're just gonna take our 10 mil. Actually, I need an extension. All right, with that off, we're going to want to tuck this battery terminal somewhere where it will not have a chance of making contact with anything. Should be good. All right, so in an effort to give us a little better lighting here, I've actually removed my target top, threw it back there, and we're gonna get started. So first thing we got to do is we got to take these T15, well, it actually looks like one of them's loose already. These T15 Torx screws, we got to remove them so that we can remove the center console cover. This is a similar procedure to the C6 Corvette. All right. One of the improvements they actually made is they have these little inserts that kind of help hold this in place, because on the C6 it just had the screws and it would rattle around a little bit. So we're gonna set this aside. My workbench is a bit of a disaster, but that's okay. All right, next thing we're gonna do is we have to remove this plastic trim piece that runs along the side here of the console. And we're going to be careful when we remove this because, okay, it actually came out just fine. This tab in here, shine a light on it. This tab right here on the end, you kind of have to like slide it back, so you want to make sure that you don't just pull straight out. Fortunately, my piece came off and just kind of slid back pretty easily. So anyway, just be careful not to break this or break that tab. Although it's probably not the end of the world if you do. It's got enough clips on it, but still, obviously we want to not break things if it can be avoided. All right, so there should also be a cover. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there's a cover right up here that we can just pull out. It's this comes off with no resistance at all. And then we can use this same tool to pull up on the console. I'm actually wondering if I can do it with my hands. I can. Just kind of, so all I did there was I just lifted up on this, right? And all these clips popped right out. And then I just kind of pulled back because there's clips back here as well that we want to make sure we don't destroy. Now, we got to get a couple things out of here. First of all, we got to disconnect all of these plugs on the bottom for our parking brake, for our traction control and drive mode selection knobs. We have to take all of these out. Pretty simple. Right, and these connectors are, they're, I don't know how well you can see it on the video, but these connectors are completely different shapes, so there's pretty much no mixing them up when you go to put them back in. Now, the other thing is we need to get the shift boot out. Worth noting, I've already put the car in 4th gear. That's what they recommend that you do to get this guy out. Okay, so there are these big tabs on the bottom. I actually kind of ripped this through one of the staples, but that's okay. I can probably put some glue or something to hold that on. There are these bigger tabs, but there are also these small release tabs. So the way that I got this out was by just getting my finger in and kind of, as soon as I got one of these to pop loose a little bit, just kind of work around the edge, and I was able to get the shift boot off. Now, we need to feed the shift boot through the console so that we can get the console free. All right. Just kind of work that through. Now, if we flip this over, we've got a little connector back here to disconnect the cigarette lighter. There we go. You really got to push. All right, center console. Now we can begin working on the dash, now that we have all that out of the way. Right, I believe the first thing we are to do is to get this passenger hand grip out of the way. Sorry, I was mistaken. The cover for the passenger hand grip is on this side. Get in here and pull our cover off. Perfect. Easy. Just 2 clips there. Okay, there are 2 T20 torque screws that we're gonna have to take off. I'm actually not entirely sure if we need to remove this side of it, but just in case, we will. All right, here's our other side of our passenger grip. Okay. So far, so good. So now we're gonna work on removing this upper dash trim piece, which, as far as I can tell, is just held on by clips. Yeah, it's coming apart actually pretty easily. Don't really have to, I might not really have to use my tool too much here. Hoo. One of those clips is really on there. Let me get back over to the driver's side. All right, you guys are getting the first person angle here. All right, so we got some bigger, more stubborn clips over here, it looks like. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but those are clips that are coming loose. So it's good. All right. It's a little bit stubborn. All right, there it is. So I will say that was one of my cleaner removals of a trim piece. As you can see, we only lost 1 clip. And it's right here. Grab some needle nose to get that guy out. All right, haha. Only took 2 needle nose pliers, but Here is the clip we lost. Let's put that guy back on there. We did not break a single clip. Success. That is the mark of success when removing a dash panel. There are 14 7mm screws all along the top of the dash. You can kind of see where my hand is pointing. We need to remove all of them. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have to remove all of them. I think technically we don't have to remove this one down here, but I'm going to just to be safe. This is a 15th screw that I'm not convinced needs to be removed, but whatever. It's easy enough with this thing. Thanks, Milwaukee. All right, so next we're gonna remove this side trim panel that goes up here. Reason being, there's a screw that we need to get to that's behind it. So as seen in some of my other videos, these are pretty easy to take out. All right, so technically the screw we need to get to is this one right back here, but that does not necessitate me actually removing this panel because I can just hold it out of the way. So next step, there are two 7mm screws, one here where this finger is and one here where this finger is. I doubt you're gonna be able to see it in the video, but anyway, same deal. I'm just gonna take those out. It's one. That's two. All right, now, in theory, this panel should come loose. Yep. And it does. All right, I'll come back when I pop this off. Right, so I got it out. Took a little bit of prying and stuff. This little tab here was like kind of free floating, so I had to use my tool for that. Trim removal tool comes in handy there. There's a connector here for the trunk release. So this is, instead of pushing on the connector, you actually have to lift. You have to lift this tab on the side where my thumb is. You just have to lift that up with like a flathead or something and it pops right off. So that is one of my clips that doesn't want to stay on for whatever reason. Anyway, all right. And now, if I remember correctly, yes, we have one more screw here and one more screw here. They're both 7mm. We're gonna take those off, and then the dash should come free. Okay, the dash should be loose now, so we should be able to start pulling it off. This piece was up over here, but anyway, that has to come off. All right, guys, so check this out. This piece actually also needed to come off. This is just clips, but the reason it needs to come off is because this silver thing is in my way when I'm trying to pull the dash out. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's, oh yeah, you can see it. This bolt is actually holding it on. I was wondering, I was like, why can't I get this thing totally loose? So anyway, I'll remove that bolt, pull this silver thing out. I think that's all it's required. Remove that bolt, take this silver thing out, and then I'll finish pulling the dash out. There's a bunch of connectors behind the dash. So there's like your ignition, your dimmer over there, your HUD adjustment, your screen controls, blah, blah, blah. So I need to unplug all of those, but I'll be right back. And voila. So actually the bolts that run along the top here take off, like for this piece, both the bolts come right out, so you can just pull that off. For this piece, you can see it has many of the bolts. There's just this one hidden tab that isn't immediately obvious that you have to remove right here, and you won't be able to see this without removing that that piece that I just showed you, this other portion of the grip. So anyway, just make sure you do that so you can get this off. I'm gonna pull the dash now. Interesting. So another thing the video that I watched doesn't tell you is that these two 7mm bolts, you can't really see that one over there, but there's two of them. These are also holding the dash on, so I have to remove those. But I have the dash most of the way off at this point. I still have to unplug some of these wires, hazard switch, blah, 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 blah. So let me do that real quick and I'll be back. All right, guys, so I unplugged the hazard connector so that I can show you inside there. We have the engine start stop button connector, and then there's just one giant wiring harness for the whole media hub. So that's kind of cool. Pretty easy to remove. I already removed the connectors on the other side, so let me just get these two connectors removed and we can pull this off. All right, here it is. Dash is out. Let's remove the screen. Okay, so now we actually come to the really easy part of this video, which is we have 3 7mm screws on this side and 3 7mm screws. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And we're gonna simply remove those, and this entire screen assembly will come loose. Now, when I do that, there's a couple of connectors. There's one on each side, I think, of the screen that I will have to disconnect. So I will show you that when I get there. But for now, let's get this screen off and we'll be done for today. All right, guys, so there was a USB connector on the top here, which basically each one of these tabs just had to be pried outward. So I just used a flathead and kind of nudged it, nudged them outward. That pulled right out. There's a connector on the side here. It just has a push tab, no problem. And then there were these 2 mini USB connector things that basically same thing. They just have a push tab on the top here. The tabs are facing that way, so you have to push from the back, if that makes sense. There are 2 of those. They are color coded, so when we get the new nav screen, should be plug and play. So anyway, this is unfortunately the state the Corvette's going to remain in probably for about a week until we get this replacement part. But the reason that I had to take this out first is because the dealership was telling me that even when they punched my VIN in, there's 3 possible nav screens. It wasn't coming up with a unique one. So I'm going to take a picture of this and send it to them. They need to know, I don't know which one of these numbers they need, but they need one of these numbers. So I'm going to send them this picture and then they will send me a replacement nav screen and we'll put it all back together next week. So flash forward now. All right, guys, we're back. It's a few days later. We're doing some late night car stuff. So we got a brand new touchscreen display here. It comes in 1 unit, the same thing that we pulled off. The old one is right here. Easy swap. Rather than kind of just walking you through all of the stuff that I've talked about so far in the video, I think I'm going to do a time lapse of me putting it back together. So basically all that's going to happen is I'm going to do everything in reverse order. So we're going to put the screen back in first. It's held in by those 6 bolts. You can actually see these bronze screw holes, or where they go in. So it's pretty simple. And then I will put the dash back on. I will reconnect all the wires in the back of the dash. All of that, I mean, that's all just, plugging these guys in to their corresponding spots. And you basically can't screw it up because all of those plugs are different. Like they have a different number of pins. Any ones that are similar, like for example, this one and that one over there, are so far apart that you couldn't possibly plug them into the wrong places. So I don't think I need to enumerate for you which plug goes where. I feel like that'll just make for some really boring content. So rather than do that, I think I'm going to put the camera up here and just kind of time lapse me putting it back together. So we're going to put screen in first. We're going to put the dash back on with that that silver trim piece that goes down here. That will then allow us to reassemble the passenger grip over here. And then we can put the center console back on. And we should be good to go. We'll test out the new screen. I should be able to get it all done tonight. We'll see. It's past midnight already though tonight, so we'll see how quickly I can do it. We also have to put some of these trim pieces back on. So we had this underneath trim piece. So after we put the dash back on, we got to put this underneath piece back on, and we got to put these side trim pieces back on. So there's a bunch of trim pieces that are all literally right here. So we'll just piece it all back together. So yeah, anyway, enjoy this time lapse.
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus, I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. I just need to clear my head. I've been stuck on your memory, but it's not like I need it. And we may have some history, but we don't have to repeat it. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us.
All right, everything's back together. Hope you guys enjoyed that time lapse. I am just going to real quick make sure that my CarPlay system is working here. So the main thing that I want to see here is if I type something in. All right, so before, when I would put something in Google Maps and I would try to click go, this is the section of the screen that was affected by the crack. So I would try to hit go and it would hit the home button instead when I would press here. So it's not doing that now, which is fine. So I just wanted to make sure that the screen was working. So I think we're good. All right, looks like everything's working. Like I said, the main point of this was the screen had a hairline crack in it, so the whole bottom half of the screen would be very wonky. You'd like press in a location and it would detect it at a different location. And it wasn't a calibration issue. I did redo in the settings, you can do a calibration where you click each corner. I did that and it was still messed up. And like I said, I saw the hairline crack on the other screen. You have to look at it from an angle, but you can see it. I hope this was useful for you guys. For any C7 owners out there, that's how you take apart your dash. Doesn't matter if you have a Z06 or not, like me. If you have any C7 Corvette, procedure is going to be exactly the same. Just wanted to give a quick shout out also to Rice Toyota, where I bought this car. It's in Greensboro, North Carolina. I really appreciate you guys sending me a new screen. Before I get this back on the road, another issue that this car had was the previous owner put the wrong brake pads on the carbon ceramic rotors, so these rotors are toast. So again, the dealership actually is going to replace that for me. So the parts are already on the way. I'll do another video replacing the whole brake system. We're going to replace all 4 rotors, and we're going to do the brake pads again. I didn't do a video on brake pads last time, so I will do it this time. But I've replaced the brake pads twice while I was trying to like troubleshoot the issue, trying to figure out exactly what was going on. So I'm gonna do a video on that. So once the brakes are done, we can get her back on the road. Another thing that I have planned, I have an exhaust coming for this car. So there's gonna be a Corsa exhaust video. Stay tuned for that. That's gonna be pretty sweet. And then I plan to do a short throw shifter as well. So we got a couple videos coming up with this car. I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy that the infotainment system is all good now. I'm happy that we upgraded, so we have Apple CarPlay now, we have a functional touchscreen, all that stuff's good. So cabin quality wise, this car's on point. I hope this video is helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.